Okay, so I just gotta say it, and I felt the same way when I talked about the manga chapters that went with these episodes up to the latest episode of Black Clover, the flashback of Lit when he finally turned into the big demon that we've seen in the opening of every single episode of Black Clover. But one scene in particular that I feel as though Black Clover definitely just did a phenomenal job, considering the inspiration is clear as day from Naruto, was the Asta and Patri scene in comparison to the whole Obito thing and the way Obito was handled. Gotta give it a Black Clover. Let's talk about it. Now don't get me wrong, I know, and most of y'all know, I love me some Naruto. I always bring it up, you know, it's my thing. But I definitely gotta give props to Black Clover, and I think there's several reasons why the Asta Patri scene just felt it worked better, and overall just the whole Patri thing in general worked better than the whole Obito redemption thing. There's a lot of reasons. One of the main ones though that sticks out to me is I feel as though the way it was handled in Black Clover with Patri is that Patri was 100% tricked. He was 100% tricked by the devil. He thought that his mentor that he looked up to, that he seen slaughtered along with all of his people, wanted him to do this. And that was, you know, he was a kid that's what was in his mind. It was drilled into his mind. He seen horror. He woke up, you know, reincarnated and thought, okay, this is my mission. I was chosen. So he didn't really have it like, well, I know that it was all a lie, but I still want to go through with it. Opposed to Obito. Obito, I think it would have worked a little bit better to a certain degree if he would have just been 100% no, I thought that this was the right thing. I thought Kakashi killed Rin. This is why I'm doing this. And things still needed to be tweaked and changed a bit to make it not feel like Obito's the biggest jackass in the world, because if he would have been doing all of that because he thought she was killed by Kakashi without having any, you know what I'm saying? It just would have been messy. But in general, the way it works, it just feels better with Black Clover. Like, you know, the fact that he was doing it over a mentor, it doesn't feel as awkward and weird as Obito doing it over a little girl that died in his past. Not saying that, you know, because at the end of the day it's all really messed up shit, but I just feel as though Black Clover just executed it way better when Asta went in there and used his anti-magic sword to take out all of the anti-magic out of Patri. But the fight against the devil has been pretty freaking crazy. You got Yami there going ham. You got him doing some combos with Charlotte, which I gotta say, it just shows at the end of the day the pairing is real strong with them. I mean, even though that's not technically Charlotte, that's still Charla, the elf version of her. They're working in unison. Even the devil has to give them props. Like, I thought y'all hated each other. Like, what's going on here? But you see that they're mustering through it and they're working together. Like, Tabata is very, very obvious with, yeah, I think they're going to end up together. I will say, out of the battles, in the manga it felt a little bit stronger and it felt like it lasted longer. In the anime it kind of was breezed through, was the fight with Dark Elf Patri versus Nozel. It felt like it wrapped up pretty quick. And don't get me wrong, I feel as though the inspiration for that was from Magi, when people would fall into depravity and become these monstrous strong people. But I think at the same time, because we have such a strong antagonist with the devil, as you can see, he could just keep on throwing these weapons and Yami is, you know, non-stop fighting him. So with already one strong antagonist, I guess you can't really have two, because, like, don't get me wrong, if you think about it, if Patri, he was able to trick and defeat the Wizard King, which I still think that, you know, had the circumstances been different, Julius would have been able to put him down. But nevertheless, he's always been regarded as and shown to be really, really capable. So if he's turned into this non-stop husk of just magic that's even stronger than his original form, you would think that there would be a very serious problem. But it seems as though Nozel didn't really struggle with him that much at all. He was able to wrap him up pretty quick and put him down, and it didn't really feel like the fight that maybe it should have been, in a sense. I like that out of everybody else, Nozel is straightforward, like, no, he betrayed the kingdom, we got to get rid of this dude, you know, he did a lot of messed up things. But of course, once he finds out that that's William Vengeance, then he's kind of a little bit, his tune changed in a sense, especially when Asta was, you know, pointed out Asta can clear and take whatever's inside of him that did that out. But still, nevertheless, I wish that battle would have went on just a little bit longer. Maybe a little bit more of a struggle would have been done, considering, yo, the couple people that fought Patri in the past, like when Yami went up against him and Julius, Pachi put up a pretty good fight, so if he's stronger, you would think ideally it would be even worse for Nozel, but Nozel was able to wrap him up and do him in pretty quick, so it wasn't the greatest battle. I mean, it looked cool. The art and animation for all of the last 3 or 4 episodes since the devil appeared hasn't been stellar, but it hasn't been bad by any means. It's just been pretty good, solid, and not fluid. A lot of times it's like, oh, we're looking at a panning of a screen, so to speak, but nothing was bad, which is good for Black Clover considering we've had some bad looking episodes, and I'm thankful for that. Then we had the side plot line when Nero went to ForneverWorld and we find out that she can talk. Now obviously I read the manga and it feels really fresh. I want to say this happened around this time last year, maybe February or March of last year, so it wasn't a surprise to me by any means. In fact, I was really excited and waiting for this, considering I want to say it's the new opening starts off with female Nero, and I'm like, when are we getting to this? And it also is kind of like a spoiler for people. I guess if you don't have anybody to tell you who that is, you would be like, I wonder what's going on there. But Nero, talking bird, ends up having ForneverWorld take her to the demon bones, and little by little is able to restore the first Wizard King, partially anyway, using the magic stones that was inside of that demon skeleton or whatever, and revived him. And it also revealed Nero can actually turn into a female, and she was originally a female. I think that was pretty cool. I mean, again, there's not much that I can really say because I said a lot about it in the manga, and I remember I made video after video like, yo, this is crazy, but the way the anime handled it was chill, it was dope, it was cool. It just showed that, we need some strong forces, because I'm imagining that's where they're headed to in order to take down this devil, because again, Yami, strong as hell, is having trouble along with Charlotte, and Nozel and Asta and them aren't going to be really helping out. So the fact that we're going to have this type of help alongside Lit that is still halfway asleep right now, it shows just the credibility of what the devil is really capable of if we need the first Wizard King. That's kind of like, again, going back to Naruto, getting some of the old Hokage to show up for the war, which again, you can see the inspiration there. And it was just a cool revelation. I think the little comedy that they did add with ForneverWorld, like, hey, can we go out on a date? Like, fam, the world is ending. What date are you going out on, fam? Like, you just chill for a minute, ForneverWorld. But it was still cool to see. And getting into the flashback, I think Black Clover is trying to balance a lot right now, because we got the devil, we just had the battle with the dark elf Patri, we have Lit there, half awakened, we got a lot of things going on right now. But then jumping into the flashback, because we already got the context a few episodes ago of that it was the devil that tricked everyone from the beginning, but actually seeing it play out scene by scene, seeing the history between Nero and the first Wizard King, the fact that she's been trapped like that for 500 years, which also adds, she must know a lot about this world. If she's been around the entirety of this story, knows a lot about this world, so I can only imagine everything that she must know. Sekre, considering she's been around for, again, centuries, 5 centuries, that's freaking insane. But getting the backstory of how one of the things is that the first Wizard King was so benevolent, you know what I'm saying? Like, even though she was a servant, he found her to be just interesting in her magic, and you see that that's a trait with Wizard Kings, because if you look at Julius, he's the same way. He gets fascinated by people's magics or their abilities and things like that. I mean, he was even I want to say fascinated by Asta not having magic but having this big ass hulking sword and shit. So you see that that's a trait. And I think also Asta kind of gets a little, I mean, maybe less than those two, because Asta just doesn't have magic, so it's not like he's gonna be, oh my gosh, you're magic, when he can't use it himself. But it seems to be that's a passed down trait from Wizard King to Wizard King, so Asta's probably, as it progresses, going to get a little more excited about magical abilities. But the backstory with the first Wizard King's sister, how she was engaged and about to marry Lit, and how the devil, which by the way, he looked like Ghastly from Pokemon in the past before he actually got a body. I was like, hey, what's going on? Where's Gengar at? But the whole thing, it showed tragedy. It was very tragic. Honestly, this whole arc is really tragic if you think about it. So many people died, so many people were tricked, massacred, murdered, all sorts of messed up shit, just by this devil. Like, he's essentially a way cooler, way more awesome Black Zetsu. Like, Black Zetsu, you know how he basically trolled the whole Naruto verse, changing stone monuments and everything. Same thing with this guy, messing with everybody, taking over people, and ultimately set up for Lit and his wife to die, and causing Lit to turn into that giant monstrosity of a demon beast at the end. And I thought it was really interesting too, like again, the little plot traits that it took from different things of like being inspired by Naruto, this, that, and the third. The fact that at the very end Lit was like, I only doubted you for a second, but I knew it wasn't you. You wouldn't have done this to us, before he turned into the demon, definitely makes you look at all of these people are kind of redeemable. Hot Tree redeemable because he was just straight up tricked. He was straight up 100% tricked from start to finish. Lit, he couldn't control. He took all of this magic, did some outlandish stuff in order to take it into him. So it's not really his, like he didn't want to become this demon, and it wasn't like he was mad at the first Wizard King for doing this, because he figured, oh, it wasn't you, we was just tricked. So everything about it makes it just feel a little bit more smooth, and overall it's been pretty freaking awesome. Has there been any level of like episode 100 art and animation? No, but it's still been pretty solid. Devil's been pretty freaking awesome. His voice actor, great, by the way. And yeah, I've been really messing with it. Honestly, Black Clover anime it's been a ride lately, and I'm looking forward to seeing finally, because it's been 116 some odd episodes at this point of this opening saying about how the first Wizard King slayed this giant demon. We're finally about to see it all play out, and we let off again with Lit turning into that giant demon. So next episode should finally finish it, and I'm imagining after this arc we're no longer gonna see that opening, because also there's spoilers in the ending, but I won't spoil, which means it's good spoilers in a sense that it confirms we're going to get the next arcs of Black Clover, hopefully. Curious what you guys been thinking about this though, the big discussion, I guess. Do you think that Black Clover did it better than Naruto in terms of the Patri Obito situation? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the first Wizard King being revived, and what are you expecting from him? Because again, this is the first Wizard King, probably astronomically strong. Curious to see where his powers, because I remember some from the manga, but I read a lot of shit, so I don't remember everything. But do you think it's possible he's way stronger than Julius? Also, what did you think about the big revelation of Nero and who she's been all along? You think she's gonna get added into Asta's crazy harem of like 1,000 chicks? And your overall thoughts and expectations for the Black Clover anime, this arc? It's freaking crazy. That's all I have for this one though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links of course are in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in. Everything good always comes to an end. If you stab me in my back, we can never make amends. Trying to move to acceptance, hard to accept it. Mistakes like mirrors, gotta reflect it. I don't wanna fucking leave, but I gotta leave. Leave the maybes to the crazies. Maybe one day there I go, admitting something in a subtle way. No more copies, leave without a trace. Last time, I'ma say last time. Moving on to the future, leave the memories as a pastime. Memories always feel like the worst. Deading all the past, leave it in a hearse. Sometimes I wanna lie, but I don't. Why lie when truthfully you get caught in it? Then usually it's all off and shit. Uncalled for shit. Now I'm off the shit.